I love writing for children, and in particular, I love writing poems because they can hold a child's attention quickly and easily and effectively for that short time that it takes to read the poem. And because you can do so many fun tricks with it to make it more accessible and attractive. For instance, putting in rhythm and rhyme and a twist at the end, and perhaps things like alliteration, where you have lots of things with or t or whatever. And children will love to pick those things out, identify them, and then perhaps write a little poem of their own with some of these features in it. Also, you can say a great deal in a poem. It's not writing down to a child to write a poem, of course. Um, for instance, I have a poem in my book, Squeak, Squawk, Roar, which is very short, but it's all about, in those few words, about a bird, a nesting bird in a tree, and their tree is cut down and they fly off. In other words, that little tiny poem encapsulates the whole big issue of deforestation and what is happening to wildlife that suddenly has nowhere to go. And children can get all that, of course, and the enjoyment of the little poem. I'm also bearing in mind when I write that children are still developing their reading skills, as I was, or rather wasn't at their age. I was a big struggler. I was very slow at reading for years. No one really seemed to pick up on it, not to any effective degree anyway, and it was never spoken of. And I hid my problem as best I could. I dare say some of the children who come to my poetry workshops feel like that, though I always try to encourage them and tell them, you know, this is very, oh, well, I don't tell them anything about the reading, but when it comes to writing, of course, I tell them um, anything is good, one word. If you can write your name, great. But with the reading, I kind of help them through. I do it for them. I read it for them. Then they read their own poem back, and that's a great thing for them, perhaps, to be able to read what they've written. That sort of connects them with the poem, and with something short like that and a bit of help from me, they can do it, and then they get a clap. So all these things are great for a struggling reader. Yes, when I was young, a page of print in a novel would just turn me off completely. I would know without even trying that I wouldn't be able to read any of it or understand it. And then in everyday life, things like instructions for anything, recipes, information in a museum, perhaps, instructions at school written down, what you have to do for your homework or something. Awful. Did I read those things? Of course I didn't. I maybe sort of glanced at a few shorter words, asked someone what a long word meant, and just sort of made up the rest. And it wasn't good enough. And I lagged behind for years until at last I somehow gradually caught up. And in the end, I went ahead and got a 2-1 degree in English and philosophy. But the younger you can catch a child and help them to get through their struggles in reading, whether you talk about them or not, the better. So I always feel that short poems like the ones I try to write are at least helping in that little way, perhaps, and just bringing literature home to children in a way that's meaningful, accessible, and enjoyable.